Hello, my name is Tom and welcome to this special episode. Today we are exploring something truly unusual, even in the castle-rich Czech Republic. In the Křivoklát forest between Prague and Pilsen stand two castles with an extraordinary connection. They are the castle brothers, Točník and Žebrák. Standing here you can feel the layers of time. One represents the classic Middle Ages, while the other represents the sophisticated luxury of a king who wanted to escape the world. Our journey starts at the bottom of the hill, at the Altar of Two, where a devastating disaster changed the history and out of it Točník was born. But let's not get ahead of this story. Let's start with the early history of Žebrák. Before the time of two castles there was only one, Žebrák. It was founded at the end of 13th century by the Waldeck family, one of the most powerful noble houses of the time. You can still see their influence in the sturdy defensive nature of these ruins. But why here? Look down from Točník Castle and you can see your answer. Even today you can see the main road. In the 14th century this was the Via Carolina, the royal highway connecting Prague and Nuremberg. If you conquered Žebrák, you could control the flow of wealth and power between Bohemia and the Holy Roman Empire. Žebrák was built in the 13th century to guard an important trade route, where controlling the road mattered more than standing on the highest peak. Only later, as warfare changed, did the higher hill become crucial. Eventually, the royal family realized how important this spot was. King Charles IV, the father of the Czechs, bought the castle because he needed a safe place to stay during his frequent travels to Germany. His son, Wenceslav IV, loved it even more. He spent vast amounts of money turning this rugged fortress into a luxurious residence with grand halls and beautiful gardens. But in 1395 tragedy struck, a massive fire broke out and within the hours the luxury was gone. The wooden ceiling collapsed, the tapestry turned to ash and the castle was left as a smoking shell. Wenceslav IV was heartbroken. Instead of rebuilding the ruins, he looked at a higher rocky ridge just a few hundred meters away and decided to start from scratch. While Žebrák was a traditional castle built for defense, Točník, built at the start of 15th century, was something entirely new. It was one of the last great royal castles built in Bohemia, and represents the transition from fortress to a chateau. Just look at the size of the castle windows. In the 13th century, windows were usually just tiny slits to shoot arrows through, but Wenceslav IV wanted light, and he felt safe enough on this high ridge that he prioritized comfort. One of the most impressive features is the Great Gate. Above the entrance, you can see a unique gallery of the coat of arms. They aren't just decorations, they are a political statement. They represent all the lands Wenceslav ruled as a king of Bohemia and the king of Romans. It was his saying of, "I may be hiding in the woods, but I'm still center of the empire." Točník had an advanced heating system for its time. They used massive tilted stoves and fireplaces that were a masterpiece of art. The main hall is so large it could host hundreds of knights. Wenceslav IV was known for his love of hunting and feasting. He often preferred the company of his lower noble friends and his hunting dogs over the high-ranking bishops and politicians in Prague. Točník was his sanctuary, his man cave, as we would call it now. But life wasn't all feast and hunting. Shortly after the castle was finished, the Hussite Wars broke out. This was a period of incredible violence and religious conflict. In 1425, the Hussite army surrounded both castles. The Hussites struck Žebrák first, torching what little remained of the old fortress. With Žebrák in the ashes, they turned their sights upwards to the real prize, Točník. For 3 grueling days they hammered at its walls with artillery, but Točník refused to flinch. Its ingenious defenses, deep moats and its sheer height were simply too much for the rebels, who eventually gave up and moved on. While Točník survived the siege, it couldn't survive the changing times. In Czechia, most castles reached a breaking point during the transition from Middle Ages to the early modern era. Czech history is defined by 2 massive conflicts that were both sparked right here in Bohemian lands: the Hussite Wars and 30 Years' War. For these castle brothers, the Hussite Wars were the ultimate turning point, marking the beginning of a long, slow journey from royal residence to romantic ruin. As the century passed, the castles changed hands. They were owned by the Württembergs, Lobkowicz family, and eventually they became a tourist attraction. In the 1800s, travelers would come here to be inspired by the ghosts of the past. And we can't forget the current residents. Since the mid-20th century, the castle moat has been home to bears. Currently, we have Agatha and Martin. They are a huge draw from families and kids. Interesting fact is, they are movie stars. From Czech kids TV show, where you could follow their journey from little bear cubs to the big cute bears.
Je noc a hned jedem, při potulce s medvědem, kam pak dneska popojdeme, kudy zítra pojedem, uděláme na ně bububu a oni vemou roha do dubu.
Today, Točník and Žebrák stand quietly side by side, like two brothers frozen in time. One was born out of necessity and defense, the other out of ambition, comfort and royal vision. Together, they tell a story that is truly unique, not just in Czech history, but in all of Europe. It's rare to see two castles so close to each other, built in different eras, for different purposes, yet forever connected by one dramatic moment in history. A fire destroyed one, and from its ashes, the other was born like a phoenix. If you ever visit Czechia, this is a place you shouldn't miss. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this full story of Točník and Žebrák, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel and share it with your fellow history lovers. See you at the next adventure.